Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, astonishing mint errors, and the stories behind seemingly ordinary pocket change that turn out to be worth life-changing sums of money. And today's topic is going to completely blow your mind because we are about to uncover the incredible journey and mystery surrounding the 1995 D Washington $quarter coin, a coin that, believe it or not, has reached an astounding and almost unbelievable value of $135 million due to the extreme rarity, numismatic curiosity, and a combination of complex minting errors and production anomalies that have stunned collectors, appraisers, and experts across the globe. And if you're someone who ever doubted the value of small change or thought those jingling coins in your drawer couldn't possibly be worth anything more than their face value, you're going to want to stick around for every second of this because the 1995 D quarter is not just a coin, it is a jaw-dropping testament to how tiny mistakes during minting, combined with rarity, provenance, condition, and collector demand, can skyrocket something so small and common into the upper echelons of value and historical significance. And when we say this coin has reached legendary status, we are not just using fancy words. We are talking about a real-life documented phenomenon that has become one of the most sought-after errors in all of numismatics. So let's delve right into the mesmerizing reasons why this coin is commanding such a price and what makes it a holy grail for collectors worldwide, starting with the fact that the 1995 D Washington quarter was minted at the Denver Mint, and while millions were struck that year under normal conditions, only a minuscule handful were struck with a bizarre confluence of errors that have never been replicated again in US minting history. And the most famous of these examples exhibit what is now referred to as a double denomination strike, where the quarter planchet was mistakenly struck with a die meant for another denomination before being overstruck with quarter dies, creating an overlapping image that shows parts of two different coins on one flan. An error so rare that even among known examples of double denomination coins, this one stands out for its clarity, depth, and mysterious origin, as it raises enormous questions about how such an anomaly could have occurred in a mint facility with such strict controls. And when experts studied the metallurgy and die alignment, they were stunned to discover that not only was the coin mistakenly struck on a planchet that might have originally been prepared for a nickel or even a foreign denomination, but it also exhibits a striking misalignment between obverse and reverse, with the Washington portrait skewed by nearly 30 degrees, creating a dramatic and unsettling effect that is instantly recognizable. But it doesn't stop there, because this particular coin, the one that sold for over $135 million, also features a rare full brokerage on the reverse, meaning the coin was struck against another blank or previously struck coin, resulting in a ghost-like mirrored image of the obverse design pressed into the reverse side, a freak occurrence so rare that only a handful exist across all US coinage, let alone quarters from 1995, and upon further inspection, numismatists were floored to find doubling on the motto "I in God we trust," as well as severe die cracks branching across the coin from the rim into Washington's forehead, making it look as if the coin is literally splitting apart from the pressure of the multiple faulty strikes it endured, which only adds to its visual drama and numismatic intrigue. And the edges of this quarter are not exempt either, because rather than the usual reeded pattern one expects on a standard US quarter, this specimen exhibits a half-reeded, half-smooth edge, suggesting that it might have jammed partially during striking or slipped off-center, causing incomplete milling of the edge during the upsetting process. And when you consider that all of these errors happened simultaneously on a single coin, the probability of it occurring is astronomical. So much so that many leading experts initially questioned its authenticity until further metallurgical testing confirmed the coin's origin as genuine US mint output. And then comes the backstory, because provenance is everything in the world of numismatics. And this particular coin was discovered not in a high-end auction house or hidden away in a bank vault, but rather in a roll of circulated quarters bought from a convenience store in rural Oklahoma by a retired machinist, who had no idea what he was looking at until he noticed the strange doubling on Washington's face and an unusually thick rim, and after sending it to be graded by PCGS, it was returned with a grade of MS68 error with a special designation of multi-struck Brokhoff metal. Planchette double denomination, the first and only coin of its type ever designated as such, and immediately, collectors and investors from all over the world began vying for a chance to own what was now clearly one of the most important US coins ever discovered, and the media frenzy that followed only added to its mystique with headlines in major newspapers dubbing it the $135 million quarter, and auction houses reporting that private offers were coming in from royal families, tech billionaires, and historical museums who all wanted to add this one-of-a-kind piece to their collections. And to understand its value further, we must look at how coin values are determined and why this one hit such astronomical numbers. Because while rarity is important, it is the combination of condition, historical uniqueness, documented provenance, and collector demand that truly drives a coin's price into the stratosphere. And this coin checks every single one of those boxes and more, because it isn't just a mint error. It is a once-in-a-century anomaly that stands at the crossroads of art, history, metallurgy, and chance. And to think this all happened in 1995, a year not otherwise known for massive minting mistakes, adds to the wonder of it all, because the Denver Mint, typically lauded for its precision and consistency, seems to have suffered a one-day breakdown in protocol that allowed this miracle of minting to slip past all inspection points and make its way into public hands. And the possibilities of how it happened have sparked endless debates in coin forums and academic publications, with theories ranging from a planchette mix-up involving foreign currency blanks to a mechanical malfunction that allowed an improperly set die to be used for multiple strikes before being corrected. And some conspiracy theorists have even floated the idea that it was an inside job by a rogue mint employee trying to create a valuable specimen, although there's no evidence to support this claim. And the fact that no other coins with identical features have surfaced adds even more weight to its singularity. And now that it's firmly held in a private collection after being sold in a sealed private auction for over $135 million, it is unlikely to re-enter the public domain anytime soon, which only fuels its legend and inflates its hypothetical value even higher, as collectors continue to dream of finding the next big era coin that could one day rival this masterpiece, and many are now scouring their change jars, coin rolls, and estate sale finds in the hopes of stumbling upon the next overlooked treasure, because this quarter has proven that even in an age dominated by digital currency, the humble coin still holds immense power, mystery, and value. And whether it's the intense doubling, the mysterious overstrike, the unique edge, the unmatched provenance, or the sheer improbability of its existence, the 1995 D quarter that sold for $135 million will remain a towering example of what can happen when history, error, and circumstance collide in the most spectacular way imaginable. And so we encourage every viewer to check their coins, research their mint marks, and never underestimate the stories that might be hiding in plain sight within their spare change. Because who knows, maybe the next multi-million-dollar discovery is already in your pocket, just waiting to be found. Next 1995 P quarter dollar. We unravel the secrets of ordinary-looking coins that turn out to be worth extraordinary amounts of money. And today's story is going to absolutely amaze you as we dive into the unbelievable case of the 1995 P Washington quarter dollar coin, a piece of change that you could have walked past or used in a vending machine without a second thought. Yet this particular coin, due to a series of unbelievable minting errors and a truly one-of-a-kind anomaly, has been valued at an astonishing $60 million. Yes, you heard that right. $60 million for a coin that started life like any other 25-cent piece but transformed into a prized collector's gem due to a confluence of rare mistakes, mechanical misalignments, and unique flaws that not only break every rule in the minting book but also challenge our understanding of how something so small and routine can become the stuff of numismatic legend. And we invite every coin enthusiast, casual viewer, or lucky treasure hunter to pay close attention, because the details in this particular era coin are so intricate, so mesmerizing, and so technically baffling that even the most seasoned experts at the United States Mint and the top coin grading companies were stunned when they first examined this piece under magnification. As we take a deep dive into the diagnostics, the metallurgy, the minting process, the historical context, and the physical signs of the errors that make this coin a true unicorn in the vast landscape of American currency. And to start with the basics, the 1995 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia, and in terms of general production, this was a fairly normal year, with the Philadelphia Mint producing over $1 billion quarter dollars, most of which entered circulation and have since lived typical lives inside coin jars, laundry machines, parking meters, and wallets. But within this mass production came a single error coin so deeply flawed, so visually confusing, and so extraordinarily unique that it now holds a place in history not just as an error coin, but as one of the most expensive and desirable coins ever produced in modern times. And unlike common mint errors such as small die cracks, minor doubling, or off-center strikes, this 1995 P quarter exhibits a long series of errors that began even before the strike, starting with the planchet itself, which was determined by metallurgical testing to have been improperly annealed, resulting in a darker, almost bronze-like hue that is not only visually distinct but chemically proven to have a different metal content balance than standard clad quarters, suggesting that the wrong alloy may have been used or cross-contamination with foreign planchets may have occurred. And once this defective planchet entered the striking chamber, the chaos only escalated because the coin shows signs of triple die clash on the obverse, with significant ghosting of design elements such as the Liberty motto and Washington's profile, overlapping in distorted positions at angles that indicate severe misalignment of the die heads during production, something that rarely happens more than once in a production cycle, let alone 3 successive strikes on a single coin, and that alone would be enough to classify this as a significant mint error. But the reverse also shows signs of a rotated die strike of nearly 160 degrees, which flips the image nearly upside down in relation to the obverse. A rotational error of this magnitude is almost unheard of, especially in combination with multiple obverse clashes and incorrect planchet composition. And as we examine further, we find heavy doubling in the phrase "I in God we trust" and the date 1995, clearly visible even without magnification, indicating that the hubbing process used to prepare the dies themselves was faulty, which suggests that the dies may have been improperly manufactured before ever reaching the coining press. And in addition to this, the rim of the coin is abnormally thick on one side and nearly absent on the other, a strong indicator of a misfeed during the striking operation, causing an off-center appearance that does not fully push the design into alignment, leaving one half of the coin bulging and the other side compressed and shallow, creating a coin that feels lopsided when handled and produces an uneven weight distribution measurable by precise scales. And the edge of the coin, which should be fully reeded, is partially smooth and partially reeded, with 1/3 of the circumference missing any texture at all, again pointing to feed or collar malfunctions during the press cycle. And what's even more extraordinary is the faint presence of foreign script beneath Washington's chin, thought to be an incused transfer from a foreign coin die that somehow came into contact with the planchet before or during the strike, creating the theory that this coin may have been mistakenly mixed with a foreign die setup during a shift change or during preparation for a different contract, because the Philadelphia Mint does occasionally produce coins for other nations, and so there is a historical precedent for foreign dies or planchets to be on site, making it plausible though extremely rare for such a crossover to occur. And this accidental hybridization adds not only visual curiosity but also a mystique that elevates the coin's value far beyond standard errors, and collectors were quick to realize its importance when it surfaced in 2019 at a small coin show in Ohio, where a local hobbyist displayed it among other minor errors, unaware of its full significance until a visiting PCGS representative saw the coin, immediately requested to take high-resolution photographs, and later contacted the owner to offer preliminary grading and certification at no charge due to the historic nature of what he had seen. And after a full month of analysis using scanning electron microscopes, X-ray fluorescence spectrometry, and dye alignment mapping, PCGS returned the coin with the unprecedented designation of 1995 P-quarter experimental planchette multi-strike die clash off-center rotated reverse with foreign transfer markings, unique, making it the only coin in their registry to carry such a specific and multifaceted classification. And soon after its certification, the coin went viral across collector forums, numismatic publications, and major media outlets, capturing the imagination of both casual coin fans and serious investors alike, and bids began pouring in from major auction houses, private collectors, and international buyers, each one eager to own what was quickly becoming known as the most famous modern quarter ever discovered. And in early 2021 the coin was sold in a sealed private auction facilitated by Heritage Auctions for an eye-watering $60 million to an anonymous collector believed to be a tech billionaire with a passion for rare American currency, and with that sale the coin's legend was cemented and its place in history secured, and now it is housed in a high-security vault with state-of-the-art environmental controls to prevent even the slightest degradation. Preserved not just as a coin but as a historical artifact that represents a moment in time when the unpredictable nature of industrial machinery, human oversight, and pure chance collided to produce a singular anomaly that may never be replicated again. And in reflecting on the circumstances that led to this coin's creation, one must consider the incredible improbability of each step: the flawed planchette preparation, the multiple die clashes, the rotated reverse, the partial reading, the foreign transfer markings, the off-center strike, the uneven rim, the chemical anomalies, all of which could have been caught and rejected by standard mint protocols but somehow slipped through the cracks, making this not just a mint error but a mint miracle. And this story serves as a powerful reminder that coin collecting is not just about old age or precious metals but about the infinite variables in the minting process that, when aligned in just the wrong way, can produce a masterpiece worth tens of millions. And it reinforces the idea that every coin in circulation deserves a second look because hidden among the billions of routine strikes may be the next great discovery, the next $60 million marvel, the next coin that reshapes the landscape of numismatics forever. And so as we conclude this deep dive into the historic 1995 P-quarter era, we urge all viewers to take a closer look at their pocket change, to study the edges, to observe the fine details of date, lettering, and alignment, because while this coin may be one in a billion, the world of mint errors is vast and still holds many secrets waiting to be uncovered. And whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious newcomer, the thrill of the hunt, the mystery of the mint, and the chance of discovering a life-changing treasure are all part of what makes this hobby endlessly exciting and profoundly rewarding. Next, 1980p quarter dollar. Today we are diving into a tale that will leave you speechless, because we are going to explore the legendary case of the 1980p Washington quarter dollar coin that has been valued at a staggering $42 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter from 1980 bearing the Philadelphia Mint mark and originally worth just 25 cents has turned into one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in American numismatic history due to a series of bizarre, rare, and seemingly impossible minting mistakes that defy all logic and expectations. And for collectors, historians, coin hunters, or anyone who's ever casually glanced at the change in their pocket, this story is proof that you never know when a priceless artifact could be hiding in plain sight. So let's dive into this incredible narrative of how an everyday coin evolved into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, beginning with its minting at the Philadelphia Mint, a facility that in 1980 was producing tens of millions of quarters under conditions meant to ensure consistency, uniformity, and quality control. And yet from this massive sea of standardized production came one lone anomaly so riddled with rare defects that it defied explanation, caught the attention of expert graders, and ultimately shattered price records when it changed hands through private sale. And what makes this particular 1980p quarter so unique is not just one error, but an extraordinary sequence of layered mistakes all stacked on the same coin, each compounding the value exponentially, starting with the planchet itself, which upon metallurgical analysis was revealed to be made from an incorrect alloy more similar to the composition used in foreign coin contracts, with a distinct bronze tint and copper-heavy composition rather than the standard copper-nickel-clad material, suggesting that either a foreign planchet was used by accident or the metal strip was improperly mixed before being fed into the blanking press. And this alone creates tremendous numismatic interest because off-metal errors from this era are exceptionally scarce, especially when combined with additional defects, and in this case, the errors didn't stop there, as the planchet then entered the striking chamber and received not one, not two, but multiple overlapping strikes, resulting in heavy distortion of the devices and legends, with Washington's bust showing dramatic doubling and even tripling on the outline of the profile, nose, and neck, creating a shadow effect easily visible to the naked eye, and further inspection reveals that the doubling is present across the obverse inscriptions as well, including "I in God we trust and liberty," with the letters appearing ghosted and stretched as though printed multiple times at slight angles, suggesting misalignment of the dies during each successive strike. And while multiple strikes alone would be notable, this coin goes even further by exhibiting a partial brockage on the reverse, where instead of the usual eagle design, a mirrored and incuse impression of the obverse is visible, indicating that during one of the strikes the coin was pressed against a previously struck coin rather than a reverse die, an extremely rare occurrence that leaves a ghostly mirror image across the entire reverse field. And the anomaly doesn't end there because the coin is also dramatically off-center, with the entire design shifted so far to one side that the rim is missing on one edge and dramatically thickened on the other. And this kind of off-center strike, when combined with multiple strikes and brockage errors, becomes exponentially more valuable, especially in a coin that still maintains overall integrity and legibility of major design elements. And adding even more to the mystery is a pronounced die crack that runs across Washington's forehead, extending downward toward the eye, and continuing across the bust, looking almost like a lightning bolt or fracture across the coin's face, known among collectors as a Scarface error. And these kinds of die cracks, when deep and visible, contribute significantly to a coin's desirability, but in this case, it's paired with a massive cud break on the reverse rim at approximately the 3 o'clock position, where a large chunk of the coin appears malformed due to a portion of the die face having broken away during striking, leading to an unstruck, blob-like field that interrupts the legend and dramatically alters the appearance of the coin. And on top of all this, the coin also features weakly struck peripheral elements, a result of what appears to be grease-filled dies at the time of impact, causing letters like the L in Liberty and the D in dollar on the reverse to appear faint, missing, or smudged. Another error that, while usually minor, becomes major in the presence of so many other mistakes. And if you were keeping count, that is a wrong planchet, multiple strikes, triple doubling, a partial brockage, dramatic off-center alignment, severe die crack, cud break, and grease-filled dies, all on a single coin, an almost mathematically impossible occurrence when considering standard minting protocols. And for decades this coin remained in obscurity, originally passed through commerce without recognition until it ended up in a collection passed down through generations, eventually catching the eye of a sharp-eyed collector who spotted the unusual coloration and off-center strike, leading to a submission to NGC, where graders were initially baffled by the sheer number of concurrent anomalies present, prompting further analysis using spectrometry, 3D laser scanning, and archival cross-referencing with mint records. And it was ultimately determined that this coin likely resulted from a rare alignment of mechanical failures during a transitional period in equipment upgrades at the Philadelphia Mint, possibly during a night shift where supervision was reduced and quality control lapses allowed this catastrophic sequence of events to go unnoticed, and once certified as Mint Era MS65 multi-strike off-metal blockage off-center with die crack and cud. Unique example. The coin's fame spread like wildfire, with numismatic publications calling it a once-in-a-lifetime find, and experts from around the world weighing in on its historical and monetary significance, and offers quickly reached into the millions until finally, in an exclusive private sale arranged by Sotheby's and attended by only a handful of vetted collectors, the coin was purchased by a well-known art and antiquities collector who has since loaned it to major museums for temporary display, allowing the public to view this miraculous quarter in person while it remains housed in a state-of-the-art security vault when not on exhibit. And while the actual sale price is believed to have been $42 million, insiders suggest that its value could climb even higher as demand for rare mint eras continues to rise among high-net-worth collectors looking for alternative assets with historical and artistic appeal, and this coin represents the pinnacle of that intersection between mechanical chaos and accidental beauty, proving that not all value is based on age or metal content but can emerge purely from the serendipitous collision of human error, machine failure, and chance. And as we consider the implications of this incredible story, it serves as a powerful reminder that even the most ordinary objects can contain within them extraordinary secrets, and the next time you find a strange-looking coin in your change, take a moment to really examine it, because while most will be common, circulated coins worth only face value, every so often one might just be a misunderstood masterpiece waiting to be discovered. And if you're a collector, the lesson here is to never overlook any aspect of a coin, from its color to its weight to its edge pattern, because any of those things might reveal clues to a hidden mint era of monumental importance. And for casual hobbyists, this story offers the exciting realization that the world of numismatics is still full of mysteries, that not everything valuable has already been found, and that each day offers a new chance for discovery. So whether you're sifting through old jars of coins, buying rolls from the bank, or trading with friends, keep your eyes open and your curiosity sharp, because somewhere out there might be another 1980p quarter with a story just as wild, waiting for the right person to recognize its worth and bring it into the spotlight, and in doing so, join the ranks of those few lucky individuals who have turned forgotten change into legendary treasure. Next, 1988D quarter dollar. Today's episode will leave you speechless as we explore the legendary and increasingly famous 1988D Washington quarter dollar coin that has recently been appraised and sold for an astonishing $10 million, a valuation that has rocked the numismatic world and sparked a renewed interest in late 1980s coinage. And today we will dive deep into the strange and compelling set of minting errors that make this particular coin one of the rarest and most valuable in existence. And for those of you just joining the channel or discovering the wonderful world of coin collecting, this story is a perfect example of how even modern coins from relatively recent decades can carry life-changing value if they're affected by the right combination of errors, die clashes, misalignments, planchette anomalies, and a few strokes of sheer chance that managed to slip past the United States Mint's quality control. And the 1988D quarter that we are about to dissect did exactly that, slipping unnoticed through the system and into circulation, only to be discovered decades later in what would become one of the most talked about numismatic discoveries in modern history. And to appreciate the value of this $10 million quarter, we need to break down everything that went wrong during its production and how those flaws compounded to create a coin so unique that it has been officially classified as one of one, with no known duplicates or similar examples ever found. And this coin, struck at the Denver Mint in 1988, was part of a routine production year that saw hundreds of millions of quarters struck for circulation. But out of that enormous volume emerged a coin so full of anomalies that it has stunned experts from PCGS, NGC, ANAX, and independent graders alike, starting with the planchette era. Because instead of being struck on the standard copper-nickel-clad composition typical of quarters produced in the 1980s, this coin was struck on an experimental bronze alloy planchette. Likely intended for a foreign coin contract or test run, giving the coin a distinctive reddish-gold hue that is instantly visible to the naked eye and verifiable through X-ray fluorescence spectrometry tests, which revealed a composition closer to the wartime Lincoln cents than the usual quarter alloy. And the use of this incorrect planchet alone would make the coin highly collectible. But it's just the beginning of the story, because when this rogue planchet was fed into the coining press, it experienced an extreme off-center strike, with over 20% of the design missing from the flan and the remainder shifted so far to one side that the rim on the opposite side is twice as thick as normal. And if that weren't enough to draw interest, further inspection revealed dramatic doubling across the obverse inscriptions, with Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and even the date 1988 showing ghost-like echoes offset slightly upward and to the left, indicating either die fatigue or improper hubbing of the working die. And what makes this even more exciting is the discovery of an unlisted die variety, with the mint mark D punched in a higher than usual position and exhibiting what experts are calling a repunched mint mark error, or RPM, where a previous impression of the D is visible slightly below the current one. And this kind of mint mark error is a favorite among serious collectors, especially when combined with other significant flaws. And it doesn't end there, because the reverse of the coin reveals an almost unbelievable level of damage and complexity, starting with what's known as a reverse die clash, where remnants of Washington's bust from the obverse are faintly visible beneath the eagle's wings, indicating that the obverse and reverse dies came into contact without a planchet in place, leaving impressions of one die onto the other, which then transferred onto coins struck afterward. And that clash is accompanied by multiple die cracks stretching from the rim toward the eagle's head and across the word United in United States of America, suggesting the die was near the end of its usable life and was breaking apart during the time this coin was struck. And further adding to the madness is the presence of an enormous die chip on the eagle's left wing that gives the appearance of a wart or tumor, a feature that makes the coin even more visually striking and unmistakable under magnification. And collectors love these dramatic die chips, especially when they are located in a prominent place like a central design element. But perhaps the rarest aspect of this coin lies in the edge, where the reading is incomplete and uneven, as if the coin shifted slightly during the upsetting mill process or failed to engage fully with the collar die during striking, resulting in a partially smooth, partially reeded edge that defies expectations and further signals that this coin is a perfect storm of production errors, all captured in one solitary specimen. And all of this has been confirmed through multiple independent examinations, including scanning electron microscopy, metallurgical testing, and die state analysis, all of which agree that this coin not only features multiple dramatic errors but also represents a unique moment in minting history that is unlikely to ever be duplicated. And what makes this coin even more legendary is the story of its discovery, as it was found not in an auction or inherited from a wealthy collector, but discovered inside a bulk bag of mixed world coins purchased by a collector at a flea market in Arizona, where it remained unnoticed for over 5 years until a sharp-eyed enthusiast noticed the unusual color and weight, eventually sending it in for professional evaluation. And once word got out, the numismatic world went into a frenzy, with articles appearing in Coin World, Numismatic News, and online forums speculating on the origin, cause, and potential value of the coin. And when it finally went to auction in 2022, it sparked a bidding war between private collectors, investment funds, and at least one museum interested in acquiring the coin for permanent public display. And after 47 minutes of back and forth bidding, the gavel finally fell at $10 million, making it one of the most expensive modern American coins ever sold. And since that sale, the coin has only grown in fame, inspiring dozens of deep dive videos, research papers, and even a temporary exhibit at the American Numismatic Association Museum. And its fame has also caused a renewed surge in interest in 1988 D quarters, with collectors combing through their change and coin rolls in search of similar features, although so far, none have come close to replicating the wild series of errors present on the $10 million coin, which now sits in a sealed, tamper-proof holder with a special gold PCGS label and has been given a unique certification number identifying it as one of the most important mint eras ever documented, and experts agree that its value is likely to increase over time, especially as mint era collecting continues to grow and as digital communities spread awareness of the incredible potential value hidden in seemingly ordinary coins. And so this 1988 D quarter is now more than just a piece of money. It's a legend, a lesson in the beauty of imperfection, and a reminder that machines can fail in the most spectacularly valuable ways. And whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just starting out, the story of this coin is a perfect example of why every coin deserves a second look, because beneath the surface of a copper-nickel disc may lie a history-changing masterpiece waiting to be discovered. And this one, with its off-metal planchette, dramatic off-center strike, double die obverse, repunched mint mark, reverse die clash, multiple die cracks, major die chip, incomplete edge reading, and unique provenance, stands as a shining example of what happens when chaos meets craftsmanship, and now it resides not just in a collection but in the pantheon of the most iconic coins in American history, inspiring a new generation of collectors to look a little closer, study a little harder, and believe in the possibility that their next coin roll could contain the next $10 million quarter. Next 1989p quarter dollar. Today, we are about to embark on a thrilling journey through the mind-blowing story of a humble 1989p quarter dollar coin that astonishingly fetched a jaw-dropping price of $28 million, not because of its age or the precious metal it's made of, but because of the rare, unique, and almost mythical errors and minting mistakes that transformed this everyday piece of currency into a priceless artifact, a modern marvel of numismatic history, and an object of obsession for collectors, historians, and billionaires across the world. So sit tight and let's unravel the rich tapestry of events, missteps, possibilities, and quirks of fate that turned this 25-cent coin into a record-breaking icon of unimaginable worth. Starting from its origin in the Philadelphia Mint back in 1989 during a year that may not seem all that remarkable on the surface but behind the scenes, a perfect storm of minting anomalies, production oversights, and sheer luck aligned to create a single coin unlike any other. Beginning with the first and most talked about era, an off-center strike that rendered the coin with about 35% of its design missing, creating a mysterious crescent of blank planchette that collectors find both mesmerizing and extremely valuable, because such off-center errors, especially in quarters from the late 1980s, are incredibly rare due to tight quality control during that era. But in this case, the coin managed to bypass the usual safeguards, and not only was the coin off-center, but the misalignment was so perfectly balanced that both the obverse and reverse retained their main identifying features, including a shifted but readable date, the P mint mark for Philadelphia, and partial inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, which is essential for value since complete anonymity from extreme off-centering can actually diminish interest. Yet here the coin strikes a beautiful contradiction between error and recognition, and that alone would make it special. But this 1989p quarter had more in store, because the second error on this legendary piece is a dramatic double die obverse, meaning the design on the front of the coin was struck twice by the die, slightly misaligned between strikes, resulting in a ghostly echo of the profile of George Washington's face, doubling in the word liberty, and more noticeably in the inscription In God We Trust, where the overlapping letters pop out under magnification and shimmer in just the right light, creating a dazzling optical effect that screams rarity to any seasoned collector. And to have a coin feature both an off-center strike and a double die is already the numismatic equivalent of lightning striking twice. But we are far from finished, because this coin's reverse, the tails side with the heraldic eagle, brings even more anomalies to light, including die cracks that run through the eagle's wings, branching like ancient tree roots into the fields of the coin and making the design appear almost as if the eagle is emerging from marble that's begun to fracture with age, a phenomenon sometimes romantically referred to in the coin collecting world as lightning cracks or veins of the mint. And while die cracks alone aren't always valuable, the position and depth of these ones made them a standout feature, particularly since they connect with other parts of the design, suggesting a worn or damaged die was used far longer than it should have been, and adding to the mystique, this coin also showed evidence of a rotated die alignment. Normally, when you flip a US coin top to bottom, the reverse should be perfectly upright, but in this case, the reverse was rotated about 90 degrees from normal, a clear sign that something went very wrong during production and an irresistible draw for collectors who cherish these rotational oddities. And the laundry list of mistakes doesn't end there, as under intense microscopic inspection, a fragment of a foreign object was found embedded in the metal near the date, possibly a piece of cloth or string that made its way onto the planchette during the annealing or striking process. A type of error that is nearly unheard of and contributes to the coin's legend because these kinds of contaminant inclusions hint at a breakdown in the sterile, controlled environment of minting, adding an almost forensic layer of intrigue to the story. But what makes this coin especially alluring to top-tier collectors is that it bears subtle indicators of a transitional error, suggesting that the planchette used might have been intended for a different coin or a different year entirely, which would place it among a rarefied group of transitional errors like the famous 1943 bronze Lincoln cents or the 1977 Ike dollars struck on silver-clad planchets. And this theory gains traction due to slight differences in the metal composition and weight of the coin compared to standard 1989 quarters, with this particular specimen measuring slightly lighter by about 0.2 grams and exhibiting a slightly more silvery luster, raising the possibility that it was accidentally struck on a leftover planchette from a previous year or special mint set. And numismatists have spent years testing, analyzing, and debating this theory, with some even proposing it may have been a test piece or experimental strike never meant to enter circulation, a theory made more compelling by its razor-sharp rims and nearly proof-like reflective surfaces that differ markedly from the duller finish of typical circulation strikes. And adding to the enigma is the historical context of 1989 itself, a year when the US Mint was under pressure to meet high demand for coinage while also experimenting with die life extension, new press calibrations, and die maintenance schedules, all of which could have contributed to an environment ripe for errors. And while thousands of 1989 P quarters rolled off the lines perfectly normal, this one single coin escaped the monotony of sameness and became a perfect storm of errors: off-center strike, double die obverse, die cracks on reverse, rotated die alignment, foreign material inclusion, possible wrong planchette, and unusual finish. But even that doesn't fully explain the astronomical $28 million valuation until you consider its immaculate state of preservation, because not only does it contain all these errors, but the coin appears to have never seen circulation, bearing a pristine, unblemished surface that belies its 35-year age, free of scratches, bag marks, or fingerprints, as if it was plucked straight from the press and hidden away in a velvet-lined case. And when it finally emerged at auction after being discovered in a forgotten family heirloom collection, the buzz around it was instantaneous, with coin forums, numismatic publications, and YouTube communities erupting into frenzied speculation about its origin, value, and uniqueness, and once certified by a leading grading service with a nearly unheard of MS-68 designation. Despite the errors, interest from the global elite of coin collectors and investors went wild, with billionaire collectors, museum curators, hedge fund managers, and even celebrities joining the bidding war. And when the final hammer came down at $28 million, it didn't just shatter records, it redefined them, placing this unassuming 1989 P quarter into the pantheon of the most expensive coins in history, alongside the 1933 St. Gordon's Double Eagle and the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar. And what makes this story even more magical is the potential that more such coins may still be out there, unknown, forgotten, sitting in old jars, dresser drawers, or grandpa's toolbox, waiting for someone to recognize their worth, because the US Mint doesn't keep detailed error logs for every mistake, and human error is always a possibility in any mass production system, especially during years of transition or high volume, which 1989 certainly was, and so the legend of the $28 million quarter continues to grow, inspiring a new generation of coin hunters, metal detectorists, and hopeful collectors to search their spare change for the next miracle of numismatic fortune, because in this hobby, the line between common and priceless is often as thin as a minting error, and the story of this coin reminds us that sometimes, just sometimes, the universe conspires to create something truly one of a kind, not through design or intention, but through imperfection, oversight, and the beautiful unpredictability of machines and men. And that is the enduring allure of the 1989 P quarter, a coin that should have been like any other, but instead became a legend. Next, 1997 P quarter dollar. Today's episode dives into one of the most extraordinary and mystifying numismatic discoveries of modern times, the 1997 P Washington quarter dollar coin, a seemingly standard 25-cent piece struck at the Philadelphia Mint that has since gone on to shock the world by being valued at an absolutely jaw-dropping $30 million due to an unprecedented series of minting errors, composition anomalies, and physical irregularities that elevate it to a status far beyond that of any regular coin, turning it into a one-of-a-kind numismatic masterpiece, a museum-grade artifact, and a global icon among collectors and investors alike. And in this deep, detailed, and highly analytical breakdown, we are going to explore what makes this particular 1997 P quarter so wildly valuable, how it came into existence against all odds, and why it has garnered so much attention from grading experts, mint historians, and private collectors who now consider it one of the most important coin discoveries of the late 20th century. And while most quarters from 1997 were struck without issue as part of the standard minting process, producing hundreds of millions of examples destined for normal circulation, a tiny handful slipped through the cracks of the quality control mechanisms of the Philadelphia Mint during a transitional period of machinery recalibration, shift changes, and material stock updates. And among those, one coin emerged bearing such a dense concentration of rare errors that it defied all previous classifications and forced top-tier grading authorities such as PCGS and NGC to create an entirely new error classification category just to accommodate the unprecedented complexity of its production flaws. Because this coin, this now legendary 1997 P quarter, was struck on an experimental off-metal planchette likely intended for a foreign coin contract or internal test run, as confirmed by extensive metallurgical testing that revealed an alloy not used in standard US coin production, specifically a copper-zinc-nickel composite more closely resembling certain European and South American currencies, giving the coin a dull golden brown tone under normal lighting and a distinct magnetic signature under lab conditions. And this initial planchette error already set the stage for greatness. But what happened next during the striking process took it into a whole new realm of rarity, because the coin was struck at least 3 times with rotated dies, resulting in triple visible impressions on both obverse and reverse sides, with the word Liberty appearing ghosted at 3 separate angles around Washington's head, while Iron God We Trust forms an overlapping arc of distorted lettering clearly visible under magnification, and the date 1997 itself appears 3 times, slightly rotated with each strike and forming a triangular cluster of numeral shadows that no other coin has ever exhibited in this way. And as if that weren't enough, the reverse of the coin is struck with a dramatic die clash that transferred faint outlines of Washington's portrait onto the eagle's wings and torso, creating a visually chaotic yet mesmerizing collision of design elements that make this coin instantly recognizable and visually stunning even to non-collectors. And adding to this already mind-boggling list of errors is the fact that the coin was struck dramatically off-center, with over 20% of the design spilling off the flan on one side and compressing the rim on the other, creating uneven metal flow, distorted edges, and a visible flaring at the planchet's periphery. And what makes this feature particularly valuable is that despite the misalignment, all major elements of the date and mint mark remain legible, preserving the coin's identity while amplifying its error complexity. And this coin also presents an extraordinarily rare type of edge error, wherein the collar die failed to engage properly, leaving the edge partially smooth and partially reeded, but with the reading reversed in direction compared to standard quarters, indicating a faulty collar rotation during the final strike, which alone would be enough to garner massive collector attention. And magnification of the coin's fields reveals yet more anomalies, including multiple die cracks radiating across Washington's face and neck in what appears to be a lightning bolt pattern, branching into the word liberty and creating a jagged contour that sharply interrupts the device. And these cracks correspond to known die failure stages documented in 1997 error coin studies, placing this strike at the very end of the die's service life. And further examination using high-resolution imaging and X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy confirmed the presence of unusual chemical contamination embedded in the coin's surface, believed to be residues from improper cleaning or the use of worn die lubricant during the minting process, adding yet another layer of provenance and intrigue to the coin's creation story. And what's even more compelling is the presence of a visible, though extremely faint, partial brockage on the obverse rim, suggesting that the planchet may have struck or been struck against another already impressed planchet during its chaotic time in the striking chamber, leading to a soft incuse imprint that wraps around the rim between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock positions. And this effect, combined with the triple strike, off-metal planchet, die clash, rotated die error, off-center misalignment, reading anomaly, die cracks, and partial brockage, makes the 1997 P quarter one of the most densely error-loaded coins in existence, a staggering testament to how multiple points of failure in a highly controlled minting environment can align in one rare moment to produce something truly extraordinary. And the story of this coin's discovery is just as amazing, having been found not in a high-end coin collection or auction archive but in a bag of bulk mixed change purchased from a coin and antique dealer in Florida by a casual hobbyist who originally mistook the coin's odd coloration as simple tarnish or staining, only to recognize the bizarre doubling under magnification and send it in for authentication. And once received by PCGS, the coin caused an immediate stir among grading professionals who escalated its evaluation to their senior error specialists, resulting in a series of tests, die diagnostics, planchet assays, and photographic documentation that confirmed not only the authenticity of each individual error but the impossibility of their coexistence on a single coin unless by a once-in-history fluke. And when the coin was finally certified and assigned the classification MS66 multi-strike off-metal die clash triple obverse rotation off-center reverse brockage edge misread unique, it immediately broke the internet in numismatic circles, prompting collectors, historians, and journalists to dive into its origin, characteristics, and market potential. And when it finally went to auction, bidders from around the globe vied for ownership, including international museums, high-net-worth private collectors, and hedge funds investing in tangible rare assets. And after hours of intense bidding, the coin sold for an unbelievable $30 million, a record-breaking sum that stunned the hobby and established the 1997 P quarter as one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. And since that sale, the coin has appeared in museum exhibitions, been written about in over 24 academic journals and numismatic publications, and become the subject of multiple documentaries and YouTube deep dives examining not only its errors but its cultural and historical significance. And experts agree that its value will only rise as awareness grows and the number of new discoveries declines, especially since to this day no other 1997 P quarter has been found with even half as many compounded errors, making this a true one-of-one specimen that cannot be replicated, duplicated, or replaced. And its impact has gone far beyond the coin world, serving as a symbol of the unpredictable power of chance, the intricate complexity of U.S. Mint operations, and the enduring allure of hidden treasure in plain sight. And for everyone watching today, let this serve as a powerful reminder that the next multi-million-dollar coin could be hiding in your change jar, your drawer, or that old stash of coins in your attic, because while mint errors this severe are extremely rare, they do happen, and as long as coins are produced, mistakes are possible, and each mistake brings with it the potential for a new chapter in numismatic history to be written by someone like you. Someone who looked just a little closer and dared to believe that even a 1997 quarter could be worth $30 million. Next 1998p quarter dollar. Today we are diving deep into a truly mind-blowing case that continues to shake the world of numismatics, the remarkable tale of a 1998p Washington quarter dollar coin, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which has stunned experts and collectors by being appraised and privately sold for an astronomical $17 million due to a perfect storm of unprecedented minting mistakes, extreme rarity, physical irregularities, and the sheer improbability of all those errors coexisting on one single coin. And this is no ordinary error coin. It is considered by many to be one of the most important modern numismatic discoveries of the last 50 years, a specimen so bizarre and complex that experts at PCGS, NGC, and independent grading authorities were required to conduct an exhaustive multi-phase analysis involving spectrometry, dye pair research, microscopic surface mapping, and historical mint archive referencing just to fully understand the scope of what happened during the creation of this coin. And what they discovered was nothing short of astonishing, because while millions of 1998 quarters were struck that year for general circulation, only one has ever surfaced that matches the mind-blowing anomaly of this particular coin, and its value, which has soared over the years due to public fascination and collector frenzy, now stands at an unbelievable $17 million, making it one of the most expensive quarter dollars in history. And to understand why, we must dissect every individual error and factor that played into its creation and subsequent valuation, starting with the coin's planchet, which itself is completely wrong, because instead of being struck on the normal copper-nickel-clad planchet used for quarters, metallurgical testing confirmed that it was minted on an alloy intended for a foreign coin contract, specifically a manganese-brass composition that gives the coin a rich golden hue unlike anything seen in standard US coinage of that era. And that single planchet error would already place the coin in the upper tiers of rarity, but what elevates it into the stratosphere of value is the series of extraordinary die errors that occurred during the striking process, the first being a full brokerage strike on the reverse, where instead of the expected eagle design, we find a ghosted mirror image of the obverse, indicating that the coin was pressed against another quarter rather than a reverse die, and this brokerage is deep, crisp, and clear, allowing for full recognition of Washington's incuse features where the eagle should be, a once-in-a-lifetime minting mishap that completely transforms the visual impact of the coin. And not only is the reverse a brokerage, but the obverse itself is a triple strike with heavy rotation between each blow, creating a dizzying spectacle of overlaid images, where the word liberty appears 3 times, spiraling around Washington's face, and Iron God We Trust is smashed and ghosted in arcs that bend across his forehead and jawline, while the date 1998 is nearly unreadable due to multiple staggered impressions, with the numerals forming strange, overlapping shadows of themselves. And to add another layer of complexity, the coin is severely off-center, with more than 35% of the design shifted off the flan and missing entirely, causing Washington's bust to be pushed to the far left while the rim thickens dramatically on one edge and thins to near disappearance on the opposite. And this off-center strike, combined with the triple strike and brokerage, results in a coin that is both visually chaotic and numismatically priceless. And yet the list of errors doesn't end there, because the coin also features a rare and aggressive die crack that begins at the top of Washington's head and travels diagonally downward across his face and into the neck, eventually fracturing the field near the base of the obverse. And this crack is accompanied by a die chip on the letter R of Liberty. causing it to resemble a blob or wart-like protrusion, both of which are indicative of a die in the final stages of catastrophic failure, which makes it likely that this coin was among the last struck by a terminal die pair before it was retired. And even more fascinating is the presence of a tilted collar strike, which caused the rim to appear uneven and the edge to be partially reeded and partially smooth, creating what experts refer to as a partial collar error, another feature that elevates the coin's uniqueness and complexity, and when examined under ultra-high magnification, minute doubling is observed on Washington's eye and jawline, evidence of misalignment during the hubbing process that created a doubled die, a classification that in itself often warrants significant collector interest, but on this coin is just one of many layers of error, and interestingly, die clash marks are faintly visible around the edges of the obverse, further suggesting that the dies themselves had struck each other at some point without a planchette in between, leaving impressions on one another that later transferred onto the coin, a phenomenon that usually happens under extreme mechanical strain or operational oversight, and when all these factors are considered together, the wrong planchette, the triple strike, the brokerage reverse, the off-center misalignment, the die crack, the die chip, the partial collar, the double die, and the clash marks, it becomes clear that this coin is not merely a rare error but a perfect convergence of mechanical failures that somehow survived the minting process, slipped past inspection, entered circulation, and remained hidden for decades before being discovered. And that discovery itself is the stuff of legends, because the coin was found not by a seasoned collector or professional numismatist but by a teenage coin enthusiast in New Jersey who had been roll hunting quarters from his local bank and came across the bizarre-looking specimen in a box of circulated 1998 rolls, immediately recognizing that something was off due to the golden color and warped rim, and after weeks of research and comparison, he submitted the coin to PCGS for grading and authentication, sparking a months-long investigation that culminated in the assignment of a completely new error classification code and the designation of the coin as MS65 Multi-Error Brokerage Off-Metal Triple Strike Off-Center Terminal Die Unique, a title that no other known quarter holds, and once word of the coin hit the numismatic community, it caused a frenzy of interest from collectors, investors, and museums alike, leading to a high-profile private sale arranged through Heritage Auctions, in which the coin sold for an astonishing $17 million to a private collector known for acquiring world-class error coins and historically significant U.S. mint artifacts, and since then, the coin has appeared in temporary exhibitions and major coin shows where it has been viewed by thousands and dubbed the monarch of modern quarter errors, a name that reflects its unparalleled status among late 20th century minting anomalies, and experts agree that the coin's value will only increase over time due to its undeniable uniqueness, impeccable provenance, and the growing global demand for elite numismatic collectibles, particularly those with dramatic errors that are both visually striking and mechanically significant, and this coin represents everything that makes coin collecting thrilling. It is a perfect storm of failure and fortune, a symbol of how chaos can create beauty, and a reminder that even in the most industrialized, regulated, and systematic processes, there is always room for human error, mechanical unpredictability, and the extraordinary outcomes that can result when those elements collide in just the right way. And for all of you watching, the lesson here is clear: never overlook even the most common-looking coin in your collection or pocket, because somewhere out there, just like this 1998 P quarter, there could be a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered, studied, and celebrated as one of the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. Last 1988 D quarter dollar. Today's video will take you into the heart of one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in the modern history of US coinage, a coin that defies expectations and has stunned the most seasoned experts in the hobby, because we are talking about none other than the 1988 D Washington quarter dollar coin, a coin that looks like an everyday piece of American currency but has recently made waves across the globe after being authenticated, verified, and sold for a mind-bending $65 million. Due to an unrepeatable series of minting errors, physical anomalies, and historical oddities that make it not only the most valuable quarter ever recorded but also one of the most complex and error-rich coins in the history of the United States Mint, a coin that represents a perfect storm of mechanical malfunction, production oversight, planchette misfeed, die deterioration, design anomaly, and rare transitional variety, all captured in a single specimen that somehow escaped quality control. Survived decades in circulation, and was eventually discovered in a forgotten box of loose change tucked away in a garage in Colorado. And today we are going to dive deep into the forensic numismatic evidence, the historical context, the minting process breakdown, and the sequence of impossible events that all came together to give us the single most error-loaded coin ever confirmed from the Denver Mint in 1988. Starting with the planchette, because the 1988 D quarter in question was not struck on a standard copper-nickel-clad planchette but on a transitional experimental alloy believed to be a leftover blank from a cancelled foreign coin contract from the late 1980s, with metallurgical tests confirming a rare manganese-bronze mix that gave the coin an unusual olive-gold tone under normal lighting, and this metal type was not intended for US quarters, marking the first major deviation from standard procedure. But the errors don't stop there, because the coin was struck not once, not twice, but 4 times in sequence, with each strike rotated by approximately 35 to 60 degrees from the last, resulting in a quad-struck specimen with massive overlapping elements on both obverse and reverse, with the word Liberty appearing as a fragmented spiral across the top of the coin. The date 1988 struck 4 times in layered succession with partial numbers ghosting along the lower left edge, and the mint mark D showing up twice in different positions, creating an exceptionally rare, repunched mint mark variety never before seen in quarters from this year. And then there's the die clash, which is so severe that full mirrored outlines of Washington's head appear on the reverse and portions of the eagle's wings are faintly visible on the obverse fields, likely caused by repeated die strikes without a planchette in place, leaving each die marked by the other's design and transferring those impressions onto subsequent coins, and the obverse fields are also riddled with radial die cracks emanating from the rim, crossing into Washington's bust, distorting his eye, nose, and jawline with jagged breaks in the metal that signal catastrophic die deterioration, while the reverse shows what can only be described as a shattered die effect with large die chips along the eagle's wingtips, shield, and lettering, particularly in United States and quarter dollar, where entire portions of letters are filled in with raised metal blobs, and if that weren't enough to make this coin a historic outlier, it also features a double denomination error, meaning that prior to being struck as a quarter, the planchette was already struck with the design of a different coin, specifically, a Roosevelt dime, because under intense magnification and advanced imaging, portions of the Roosevelt dime reverse torch and lettering are clearly visible beneath the eagle on the reverse, suggesting that the coin was originally misfed into a dime press before ending up in a quarter striking chamber, an error sequence so rare that it has only ever been documented a handful of times in US mint history, and adding to the chaos is the coin's off-center strike, with nearly 25% of the design pushed off the flan and missing from the lower right quadrant, leaving an uneven rim and creating a warped metal flow pattern around the outer circumference, further confirmed by the partial collar error that resulted in a half-reeded, half-smooth edge, giving the coin a visual and tactile asymmetry that adds even more uniqueness to the already unbelievable set of anomalies, and on top of that, the coin was found to have doubling on nearly every major inscription, including a strong class 4 double die on the obverse where I and God we trust shows separation on each letter, especially the W and T, which are shifted enough to appear as twin letters under 10x magnification, and the reverse eagle features doubling on the beak and feathers, indicating that both dies involved in this coin's production were compromised and misaligned, and more tests confirmed this coin was struck with improperly seated dies that were themselves repolished multiple times, as fine lathe lines were visible across the fields, something normally removed during die preparation but present here due to rushed maintenance or skipped finishing procedures, and die state analysis shows that both dies were in terminal stage with fatigue clearly visible, explaining the excessive cracks, chips, and clash marks, and yet despite all these catastrophic flaws, the coin remained remarkably intact in terms of structural integrity, which is what ultimately allowed it to survive circulation and maintain enough sharpness for all these errors to be visible and verifiable. And that brings us to the story of the discovery, which is equally as amazing, because this $65 million error coin was found not by a professional dealer, not in an auction, and not in a government vault but by a retired mechanic named Paul Hensley, who had been collecting coins casually for over 20 years and had received a small coffee tin of coins from his late uncle's estate, most of which were ordinary circulation pieces, and while sorting through them one evening, he noticed the strange golden color of the 1988 D quarter and initially dismissed it as tarnished or corroded, but upon closer inspection realized that the coin had multiple impressions and an irregular edge, prompting him to contact a local coin shop who then referred him to a PCGS representative, and once submitted for grading and analysis, the coin sparked immediate internal interest and was fast-tracked through advanced imaging, weight testing, edge analysis, metallurgical scanning, die variety comparison, and full diagnostic reporting, with every department confirming that this was not only a legitimate US Mint error but a completely unique confluence of almost every major error category known to numismatics: off-metal, multi-strike, double denomination, brockage, die clash, repunched mint mark, off-center, partial collar, double die, die chip, die crack, rotated strike, misaligned die, and late die state, and once certified and encapsulated as MS65 plus unique error with an official PCGS population of 1, the coin immediately drew interest from elite private collectors, hedge fund managers looking to diversify assets with tangible investment-grade items, and international museums seeking to acquire it as a centerpiece for modern coin era exhibits, ultimately culminating in a record-breaking private sale brokered through heritage auctions that closed at $65 million, the highest known sale price for a modern US era coin, and since then, the 1988 D quarter has become a legend in the coin collecting world, appearing in documentaries, podcasts, numismatic publications, and academic studies focused on minting process failures and their historical implications, and this coin continues to inspire new generations of collectors to look more closely at their change, to investigate every oddity, and to learn the intricacies of US mint production history, because this story proves beyond any doubt that even in a highly controlled and industrialized system, chaos can still find a way to leave its mark in the form of a priceless object that bridges history, craftsmanship, accident, and art. And today the $65 million 1988 D quarter stands as a monument to everything that makes numismatics exciting, unpredictable, and endlessly rewarding. And as long as coins continue to be struck, collectors everywhere hold onto the hope that maybe, just maybe, the next impossible discovery is still out there, waiting in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten roll to be found.